You've been fighting battles nobody knows about. You've been building new habits in the quiet moments of your day. You feel different. You poise different. But when you look around, it's like no one notices. If you've ever felt like you're changing in a world that still sees your past self, this is for you. We're going to build your internal proof so you never have to doubt your own transformation again. This feeling of being invisible is one of the most frustrating parts of personal growth. You put in all this work, waking up earlier, learning to manage your reactions, setting boundaries, and still, the people around you treat you like the same old person. Their perception of you feels frozen in time, and honestly, it can be crushing. It's why a lot of people just give up. The lack of acknowledgement makes the effort feel pointless. But what if I told you that proving you've changed has nothing to do with other people? What if the only validation you ever needed came from a source that's always available to you? Today, we're not talking about how to get others to see you differently. We're going to talk about something way more powerful. How to prove your growth to asterisk yourself, so their validation becomes a nice to have, not a need to have. Let's get into it. Part 1. The Invisible Wall. First, let's understand why this even happens. Why don't people see the huge shifts happening inside of you? There are a few reasons, and they have very little to do with you. The first is that real change is usually slow. It's not one big before and after moment that everyone can applaud. It's 1,000 tiny decisions you make every single day. It's choosing not to get angry, the morning you didn't hit snooze, the moment you chose self-compassion over self-criticism. These are internal victories, and because they aren't loud, they're easy for others to miss. People build their idea of you over time, so 1 or 2 new actions might not be enough to override a long-established pattern in their minds. Second, people are creatures of habit, not just in their own actions, but in how they see others. They see what they expect to see. It's a mental shortcut called confirmation bias. If they have a long history of you being a certain way, their brain will unconsciously look for evidence that confirms that old story. It's just easier for them to rely on memory than to get curious about someone they think they already know. Finally, people notice what they can see, not what you feel. They can't see the newfound calm in your mind during a stressful meeting. They can't feel the self-trust you're building by keeping promises to yourself. They only see the outside result, and sometimes those results take a long time to show up in a way that's obvious to anyone else. And here's where it gets really tough. When you rely on external validation to keep you going, you're playing a dangerous game. If you don't get the applause you feel you deserve, it's easy to think, what's the point? This is the invisible wall. The moment your internal reality clashes with how others see you, and the temptation to slide back into old habits is at its peak. But being unseen doesn't mean you're not growing. Quiet growth is still growth. You don't need an audience for your healing to be real. In fact, sometimes being overlooked means the work you're doing is the real deal, subtle, sustainable, and truly becoming part of you. The solution isn't to perform your growth for others. The solution is to become your own audience. Part 2, the Internal Scorecard. So how do we do that? How do we build that unshakable internal proof? We create what I call an internal scorecard. This is your own private system for measuring what truly matters. Your actions, your consistency, your internal state, completely separate from anyone else's opinion. This scorecard is for you, by you. And it's built on 4 key practices. Step 1. Track your inputs, not just your outputs. Lean, asterisk. We get so obsessed with outputs, the big visible results, like losing the weight or getting the promotion. But focusing only on the finish line is a recipe for frustration because the results often lag way behind your efforts. Instead, I want you to start tracking your inputs. Inputs are the daily actions you can actually control. It's the 10 minutes you meditated, the single page you read, the workout you finished, or the tough conversation you started. These are the bricks you're laying. day in and day out. The easiest way to do this is with a simple habit tracker or a journal. At the end of each day, don't ask, "Did I reach my goal?" Ask, "Did I do the thing I said I would do?" Ticking a box on a calendar gives you visual, undeniable proof of your hard work. This small shift is a game changer. It moves your sense of accomplishment from some distant, uncertain future to a daily, controllable action. You start getting satisfaction from the process itself, not just the prize. Every checkmark is a vote for the new person you're becoming. Step 2. Redefine your wins. Society celebrates big, flashy victories. But the most meaningful growth happens in the small, internal moments. Your internal scorecard needs to track these just as carefully. It's time to redefine what you count as a win. A win isn't just closing a deal. A win is noticing you're about to react in anger and choosing to take a breath instead. A win is holding a boundary you would have let slide 6 months ago. A win is bouncing back from a bad day in a few hours instead of a few weeks. These are the real signs of change. Start an evidence journal. Every day or week, write down one small moment where you handled something differently than the old you would have. Be specific. Don't just write, "I was more patient." Write, "When I spilled coffee this morning, my first thought wasn't anger. I just cleaned it up and moved on." Don't just say, "I set a boundary." Say, "My friend asked for a favor I didn't have energy for, and I said no, kindly, without feeling like I had to apologize for it." This creates a real record of who you're becoming. When you feel like you're stuck, you can open this journal and be met with hard evidence that you are changing in the ways that truly matter. Step 3. The past self-comparison. One of the biggest traps we fall into is comparing ourselves to other people. The only comparison that's ever fair or useful is with who you were yesterday, last month, or last year. Your progress becomes crystal clear when you look back at where you started. Here's a practical way to do this. Create a baseline snapshot. Take a piece of paper and be really honest about how you handle things right now. How do you deal with stress? What's your gut reaction to conflict? How do you talk to yourself when you mess up? Then, put it away. Seal it in an envelope, or save it in a folder you won't look at for 3, or even better, 6 months. When the time is up, take it out and reflect on those same questions. You will be stunned by the difference. This cuts through a funny trick our brains play on us called adaptation. As we get better, our improvements become our new normal, and we forget just how hard things used to be. The past self-comparison proves that the ground beneath your feet has fundamentally shifted. Step 4. Document your feelings and thoughts. So much of personal growth is invisible because it happens in your head, your thoughts, your emotions, your perspective. The only way to prove this change to yourself is to document it. Journaling is perfect for this, but don't just write about what you did, write about how you felt. Write down your fears, your hopes, your triggers, and your moments of clarity. This creates a timeline of your emotional evolution. When you look back at entries from a year ago, you'll see irrefutable proof of your growth. You might read about a problem that consumed you back then and realize it's not even on your radar anymore. You can also use a simple 1 to 10 rating system. At the end of each week, rate your level of self-trust, your anxiety, or your general sense of peace. Over a few months, you will see a trend. That trend is your proof. You're not judging the number itself. You're just watching the direction of the line. Is it trending up? If so, you are changing. Period. Part 3. The unshakable self. When you stop looking to others to measure your progress and start keeping your own score, everything changes. Your motivation comes from within. Your confidence gets rooted in your own actions, not in someone else's fleeting compliments. This is what it means to build an unshakable self. Your internal scorecard, tracking your inputs, redefining your wins, comparing to your past self, and documenting your feelings, is your toolkit. It's how you gather the evidence to become your own source of validation. You no longer need someone else to tell you you've grown, because you have the receipts. You have the journal entries, the habit tracker data, and the memory of who you used to be. And the funny thing is, when you truly stop needing others to notice your change, that's often when they start to. Your consistency becomes so solid, it's impossible to ignore. Your new behaviors are no longer temporary. They're just who you are. People eventually have to update their mental picture of you because the new evidence is overwhelming. But by then, it won't even matter as much. You'll have already given yourself the one thing you were looking for all along. The profound, quiet certainty that you are not who you used to be. You did the work, and you have the proof. If this resonated with you and you know someone on their own quiet journey of change, feel free to share this with them. And for more ways to build your strongest self from the inside out, make sure to subscribe.